Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Friday the 13th. We hope everyone had a good day today, or a great work week as well. Winding down for the weekend. Got some Grand Solar Minimum news I want to share with you guys tonight. First, let's go ahead and check in with our space weather. Our solar wind speeds are coming in at 357.6 kilometers per second with a density of 7.4. Still 0 sunspots to report. That's 30 days in a row. 267 days without sunspots. Tomorrow would mark a tie of a space age record of sunspot or spotless days in a calendar year. Our KP indices coming in at 0 and a 24-hour max is at 2. Notice the TCI did jump up a little bit from 3.12 to 3.19. The TCI is the very top of our atmosphere. So, and the record cold is 2.05. Now, that record was set back in February of 2009. Let's take a look at the SDO in motion real quick. And there is that corona hole that is almost Earth facing as we speak. And if conditions continue to stay low like this, the 0 to 2 to 1 to 2, that's where we tend to look for a little bit of seismic activity. So kind of on the watch of a watch basically tonight, but nothing really to report at this point. And let's go ahead and take a look at our TCI, or TSI I should say. We haven't looked at that in a few days. Here we are. All right, so readings are coming in now at 1360.666, and that was on December 6th. Yeesh. 1360.666 on December 6th, 2019. And let's go over to our website, this thegrandsolarminimum.com. Taking a look at our star in motion over the next several days, looking beyond the eastern limb, and it's quiet, folks. I do see the makings of a possible corona hole right here. Pretty close to the equatorial region, so we should have a better chance for some space weather, solar wind stream, maybe some geomagnetic activity. We'll see if this particular corona hole grows or not. But again, we are looking quiet, folks. No sunspots to speak of, none to report, and it looks like it's going to remain that way. All right, let's go over to SPACEWEATHER.com because they actually, I want to cover this. Cosmic ray update. Something ironic is happening in Earth's atmosphere. Solar activity is low, very low, yet atmospheric radiation is heading in the opposite direction, meaning cosmic rays are going through the roof. Take a look at these data gathered, the cosmic ray balloons launched by SPACEWEATHER.com. Students of Earth to Sky calculations almost weekly since March of 2015. And we are definitely, the trend is continuing to get even higher and higher as far as cosmic rays. So interesting what we're looking at right now and how high it continues to grow. And we are also monitoring this as well as SPACEWEATHER.com is doing a great job at helping us follow stuff like this. But 22% is the increase. That is up to date. Now, radiation levels have been increasing almost non-stop since the monitoring program began, with recent flights registering the highest levels of all. What's happening? Well, the answer is solar minimum. The low point of 11-year cycle during a solar minimum, underway now, the sun's magnetic field weakens and allows energetic particles from deep space to penetrate the solar system. As solar activity goes down, cosmic rays go up, yin-yang. When cosmic rays hit the top of Earth's atmosphere, they produce a spray of secondary particles and photons that rain down on Earth's surface. This is what our balloons measure. The secondary spray will use X-ray and gamma ray detectors sensitive to energies in the range that are measured in. This type of radiation, which you could also find in the medical X-ray machines and airport security scanners, has increased more than 20% in the stratosphere. And they're showing you the numbers here. Since 1964, we've seen a steady increase, and it started with that last solar minimum that we had in 2009. And now we are looking at these numbers to continue to rise, and how much further and how much more records are we going to break with cosmic rays, guys? And we can see the charts here. Definitely see the two peaks. My feeling is we won't see the peak until around April, as far as the weakening of the magnetic field, the increase of cosmic rays. That spells a lot of trouble. And I know David Dubine made a prediction back in 2017 that we would really see a lot of problems in May of 2019. And he was right. From the Mississippi River flooding, the Northern Plains flooding, Nebraska was flooding, Iowa was flooding. I mean, there were floods across the United States, and people were late getting crops into the ground. And I don't find it a coincidence that people talk about, there was another farming video I watched. I can't remember at the top of my head, but Mr. Wheelblogger sent me a link to it. And the farmers were talking about how they don't remember ever being in the fields past Thanksgiving, and surely not this late. And he asked his partner, and his partner replied, well, maybe 2009, which, again, here's another correlation, ironically. Now, the previous minimum before this, then, guys, this should be an indicator, too, of how weak the magnetic field is getting. Look at the previous solar minimum. I mean, these cosmic ray levels are nowhere near what we're talking about right now. Way off. And that's because the magnetic field was a lot stronger. And just in the last 2 cycles, we really seen it bottom out and getting weaker and weaker, especially since the last solar minimum, 96, 97. In my opinion, that's when it really started. Now, some will argue that we had some pretty bad winters in the 70s. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Cosmic rays were nowhere near what they are now. And that should worry some of us, because we talk about this year's winter rivaling winters of the 77, 78, and 79 era. So if there's that much more cosmic rays, just think about how much more snow is going to fall this winter. Interesting stuff, folks. But I wanted to share this with you. Go to SPACEWEATHER.com, and they will show you everything that they're doing. And, of course, if you scroll over to the very right, they are keeping track of the neutron counts, which we also do as well here on our Space Weather Station down at the very bottom. You'll see that's where we get that information from, is SPACEWEATHER.com. So thank you guys for continuous work that you do. And this makes it easy for everyone to follow the space weather and learn an understanding of what each of this does to Earth. Speaking of cosmic rays, we spoke briefly about this blizzard, this historic blizzard, by the way, that there's still snow falling to the ground as we speak. I think in that region they've seen around 10 feet. Winds are getting as strong as 100 miles per hour. This is clearly an unprecedented storm, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there was one like this last year in Iceland, but I sure don't remember seeing such heavy snow. But the concern, the bomb cyclone accompanied by heavy snow and hurricane force winds hit Iceland on Tuesday, December 10th. The storm west of the country first, and then it moved east on Wednesday, December 11th. As a result, strong winds and snow, several cities faced power outages, and roads were left paralyzed. It is set to batter Britain the following days, according to the Met Office. And this is what I was trying to warn about earlier this morning. They said here, rescue workers answered roughly 600 emergency-related calls, most of them from people dealing with power outages or securing boats in the harbor. Powerful storm, folks. The cyclone hit northeast Iceland hard, resulting in widespread power outages. Roofs were torn off, trees were uprooted, Moreover, there had been repeated disruptions in mobile phone coverage across the areas, but so far, no severe injuries have been reported. Check out some of this video, guys. Look at this. I gotta show this. Look at that. Can you believe this? I gotta watch it again. Hurricane force winds. This is what it would look like. This is called a snow cane. I mean, honestly, let's call it what it is. This is a snow cane. Hurricane force winds, whiteout conditions. I mean, this kind of snow is only possible because of the abundance of cosmic rays that are in our atmosphere that help create these that help create these massive amounts of snow dropped in 24 hours. Like I said, we shared this the other night. Cars buried completely in the snow. Parking lots. Snow drifts. I mean, look at these snow drifts. We're talking 8 to 10 feet snow drift. So anyway, this is heading towards the UK. Now, they're not going to see this snow, but they are going to witness some heavy winds for sure, and lots of precipitation to go along with it. So they're saying here snow showers, lesser snow showers on Friday. And then they're talking, however, a system A could bring severe gales to South England Friday night. That's tonight. It's already underway. Snow could accompany System B as it moves east across central Britain tonight or tomorrow night, with gales on the southern side. And here is the thinking here at the Met Office. So it's a 1-2 punch for you folks out there in the UK. So this weekend, buckle up. Thank you to the watchers for covering this. Good information once again. Unfortunately, deadly floods and landslides hit Huánuco and San Martin, Peru. Heavy rain since December 6, 2019 has led to landslides and severe flooding that affected portions of the area. This was taking place December 6, 2019. Reports confirmed total and partial damages to homes, schools, roads, and bridges, as well as dozens of fatalities. Now, in the region, it says floods hit the districts in Porto Inca province following swelling of the Pachita riverbanks. This has caused damage to about 50 residential properties. Health centers, schools are affected. 100 people as well as being estimated at this point. Taking a look at some drone footage. Boy, this flooding looks familiar. We just reported, what, South Africa? I mean, it's just country after country. We report these 100, 500-year flooding events that are taking place in parts of the world. Absolutely insane. And that, again, I'm going to go back to the science, guys. Cosmic rays. The increase of cosmic rays is up 22% since 2015. That's a significant increase. So think about all the cloud coverage that we've had. And really think about how many days of blue skies have you really seen? Absolutely clear, refreshing blue skies, sun, nothing else. I bet you can count on both hands how many times you've seen that this year alone. So more cloud coverage leads to cooling. More moisture, more water vapor combined with these cosmic rays will mean heavier precipitation events. More rain, more snow. Again, thanks to the watchers for the coverage and the work they do. One more here from the watchers. Massive flooding sweeps through 22 areas in South Trinidad. It's not the first time we've talked about this area receiving heavy rains. On December 10th, flooding roads and homes across 22 areas. They're describing this situation as the worst ever Now, they said they recorded 5 inches of rain in 2 days. That's 48 hours, and that's probably well over a month's worth in just 2 days. Again, South Africa received a bunch of rain in 24 hours, a month's worth. 2 people on the ground said it was the worst they've ever seen. There is flooding in areas that do not flood. The water is rising, and that is frightening. It does not look good, Sammy stated. Communities in the PDRC were affected badly. As of December 13th, at least 15 families had to be evacuated. Again, more familiar scenes here across the world. Flooding, heavy flooding. An abundance of cosmic rays, an abundance of water vapor. I mean, the ground's already saturated from all the events we've dealt with worldwide this year, and it's really ramped up. It really has picked it up a notch or two. All right, we got some sad news to pass along tonight. David Bellamy, Britain's most loved naturalist with unfashionable views on climate change, dies at the age of 86. Broadcaster and botanist David Bellamy has died at the age of 86. Bellamy was a prolific broadcaster and respected authority on botany and the natural world when he says his views on climate change led him to be banished from television. Flying in the face of prevailing orthodoxy, he dismissed global warming as poppycock and said there's no actual proof human activity was causing rise in temperatures, which we all believe that as well. Bellamy, who died on Wednesday at the age of 86, blamed his views on climate change for the downfall of his TV career. David Bellamy, the naturalist and the broadcaster. Oh my God, how many times is he going to repeat that? Come on, what's up with that? What's up with that? It says here, Bellamy was born in London in 1933, was raised in Sutton. He worked in a factory as a plumber before meeting his future wife, Rosemary. The couple had 5 children. Bellamy studied and later taught botany at Durham University. Tori Cannon, sea drama propelled David Bellamy to greater fame. He achieved wider recognition for his work. In the Tori Cannon oil spill in 1967, TV work offers followed, launching a small screen career. Thanks to his distinctive voice and screen presence, Bellamy became a popular presenter at programs such as Don't Ask Me. Wildlife presenter David Bellamy once respected and sought after authority on environmental issues. He also fronted his own shows, including Bellamy on Botany, Bellamy's Britain, Bellamy's Europe, and Bellamy's Backyard Safari. 1979, won BAFTA Richard Dimbley Award. Bellamy provided an easy target for TV impersonators and was regularly parodied by impressionists, including Sir Lenny Henry. He famously inspired Sir Lenny's "Grapple me grape nuts" catchphrase. Grapple me grape nuts. Wow, I like that. Grapple me grape nuts. Tripper, Minister of the Environment and Countryside, Sir David Attenborough, and Professor David Bellamy at the launch of the £11 million nature reserve for 2,500 acres on the River Tees estuary. Now, I bring him up because when I read this, it feels like to me, especially in the UK, a lot of people who have different views on climate change, you think we're being blocked out here in the United States. And these guys over here are getting it way worse. Recent example is John Kitson over there in the UK. And, I believe that his election results might have had something to do with how his party and him as a candidate was viewed. And those views were distorted by the Green Party, and they were inaccurate. And unfortunately, guys like that get cast away. I was excited to see him refer our website during a video talking about the real climate emergency, John Kitson, that is. But there's a price to pay, folks, when you go against the grain, such as climate science. and you hear people say that you don't understand the emergency of the climate, or you don't understand the climate science, you're not up to speed, and it's because you don't go along with what gives them their grants. And this is really what it's about. These folks are hooked on the grant money, and they're trying desperately to keep this global warming thing alive. And I think people, as much as they hate making politics involved in this, but I don't think they realize how much they are involved, especially when it comes to the AGW. I mean, there is a certain party in this country that believes that it's true. And it's spreading to other parts of the world that were willing and okay with transforming the world's economy and forming an elite group. I mean, that's what I think this Paris Treaty climate thing. It's like a globalization of this is the economy and this is how it's going to be. Everyone's going to do this. And when you have guys like Bellamy, who was one of the first that was speaking out against man-made climate change, and guys like John Kitson, who have interesting views on 5G and also concerns about the real climate emergency, which is the grand solar minimum. Whenever that kind of truth comes out, unfortunately, the ones with all the money and the fame and the so-called notoriety, people tend to just believe without investigating for themselves. So they take these larger corporations with lots of money word for it. And quickly, people like this get tossed aside and their careers go down the tubes. Just like the professor in Victoria, Canada, who got fired for telling the truth about the polar bear population's gone up 400%. It's sad. Again, I appreciate John's support. And we all know that when we stick together like this, we all get punched. It's all the same. So, it's unfortunate that I remember when we did the broadcast with Zarkova and did work on her paper and showed everybody what it was saying. Our channel was not met with kind words, and actions were happening to our channel. We feel that was maybe possibly were we a part of something that was being suppressed because of what the information had. There was truth in it. And I was shocked to see how rejected Zarkova's paper was anyway, because of the fact that it's like she did say that we were going to warm 2.5 degrees in 600 years naturally by solar inertial motion. And it's like, hey, isn't that enough? At least she's acknowledging the natural warming of our planet that happens. She also listed out the two major grand solar minimums. One we're going to be living in right now, and the next one, no way, not to worry. Not even our children's will have to worry at this point. And I'm not saying that the future is not important, but at this point, we all know and hope by then, if there is a then, that our civilization will come up with a way to, how shall we say, adapt, thrive, in big time. Not just barely, but actually really do it. I believe this planet's all about challenges in the first place. When you're dealing with either growing or just everyday life, it's a challenge anyway. So it's what we do as humans. We adapt, we accept challenges, and for the most part, we take them head on. And I plan on doing that myself with the upcoming challenges of the Grand Solar Minimum. All right, so before we get into our forecast outlook tonight, wintry storm to unleash snow and ice, rain, and marches across a 2,000-mile stretch of the U.S. Now, this storm hasn't really been showing its teeth that much, to say the least. It's been back and forth on the GFS, but there is some confidence now that we could see some heaviest snow in the Colorado Rockies, which that wasn't ever a doubt. It was the midsection of the country in the Northeast. And this is their thinking. Most of central Kansas, it could see over a foot. Parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, also that possibility of the 6 to 12 variety of snow. Or I'm sorry, 3 to 6 inches. So the heaviest, the foot, is going to be in Kansas and Missouri, parts of Colorado. And then if you go further to the northeast, we are looking at somewhere between 3 to 6 inches, which I kind of said 3 to 8, but hey, I was close enough, right? So again, I've seen storms like this with the kind of predictions where it says 3 to 6, but this one, again, I will be watching closely as well. And let's take a look at two different models. We'll start here at the GFS, and then we'll go to the Euro. So here's our current storm. The storm that I was showing you on AccuWeather is for Tuesday of next week. So we've got some freezing rain right now as temperatures are still freezing for most of upstate New York. That will change over to all rain here soon, if it hasn't already. That ridging is also going to begin, as we will see temperatures in the low 40s tomorrow, but we will see some temperature drop after that. Now the Northwest dealing with heavy rain, especially in Northern California. Parts of Washington and Oregon also. Some heavy snow to happen in that region. And then as we move in through Saturday, there's that rain going north. The heaviest of it in the Atlantic, thank God. But again, this is 2 weekends in a row where we get a little bit of melt and a lot of rain. So this will add, this could have some minor flooding. But look at this. On the back end of this Sunday, December 15th, we have snow. It's cold enough behind this system. Again, light snow, maybe 1 inch to 2 inches for New York and other places in the Northeast. And then here's our other system developing on the 16th. And the good news is my friend Matt, I told him he might have to worry about this in Nebraska. Not the case, bud. This thing looks like it's going to miss you guys now altogether. You might pick up some light snow showers on Sunday, but mainly you'll just be experiencing cold weather. Now, across Illinois, Indiana, and southwest Ohio, this could be a decent little system here. We got to watch it, though, because it's on that fine line of freezing rain and snow and ice. So this could be a mixed bag of things for folks across parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. And as it approaches the Northeast on Tuesday, we could see some icing in the southern part of New York, northern Pennsylvania, start as snow. Tuesday evening into the overnight hours, it looks like it intensifies and picks up. And that's where we'll probably see the bulk of the 3 to 6 that's expected in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, southern Maine. Not so much, too much Massachusetts, but a little bit. And then that system moves out of here. And then we got an Alberta Clipper moving in over the Great Lakes into the Northeast on Wednesday, just as a follow-up of a little bit of extra dusting, maybe to 1 inch possible. High pressure setting in the Southeast. But again, this jet stream is all over the place, and I blame low solar activity as the reason why this weather pattern is so crazy. And it's really hard to get a handle on which way. Some of these storms are shifting north, south, the last minute. Every day, like I said, it's been tricky. But here on the GFS, we have another major system forming on the eastern part of the United States. The GFS likes this thing moving away from the States by the 23rd. Now, this is where I was telling folks that we could see a white Christmas for the Midwest and in the Northeast. And just like that, look, here we are Christmas Day. None of that's happening, according to this model right here. But the Southwest gets really interesting here in the Four Corner states. Moving across northwest Kansas into Nebraska, this massive low-pressure system will find its way into the Great Lakes. More rain for the Northeast. Back end of it will be cold enough for snow. Once again, this is by the end of the month. Now, forecast. Gentleman I follow on Facebook, I think if I'm not, I don't mean to butcher your name, sir, Uric Lyons. His forecast for the winter, according to this GFS, I'm going to be on the agreeance with this, but he is expecting cold air for much of the U.S. for about 10 days, and then back to average temps, maybe slightly above in parts of mid-January, and then late January through the most of February is going to be cold, cold, cold. And on top of that, we are not in any shortage of water vapor or moisture, so keep that in mind. That's one forecast out there that's being done. Person I respect. In fact, a funny story about him. A couple of years back, he presented me information about grand solar minimum and how he believed it was not happening when it was. And but he was really one of the first people that ever showed me empirical data that led him to believe what he believes still. And I give him kudos for that, because most people will just make their claims and not give you the proof, but he actually does do the work. So, but anyway, I saw this profile on LinkedIn and I checked out his forecast, and I'm in agreement with his. December will be cold in the middle part, and then mid to late January through most of February, much colder air, and you know what that means when we have the moisture around as well. Now here's the euro. And the euro is pretty close to what we're looking at. Now, I think the euro is making it more favorable for snow, heavier snow in New York after this rain event here today and tomorrow into Sunday. And then that system that we're looking at on the 17th here in the Northeast, the euro really favors the good chances of some heavier snows, especially upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. And then this scene kind of winds down as it hits through Wednesday. So the heaviest of the snow is going to fall through Cleveland, Western New York, and possibly upstate New York. Hopefully the capital region gets spared, as they were hit the hardest on the last snow system. So living in parts of like near Toledo, Lima, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Erie, PA, Buffalo, New York, not so much. You're going to see the South towns getting a lot more snow out of this one. And then the upstate New York region, that's where I look at for the heaviest snow from this system here. And that's according to the euro. And then as we move the system out, more lake effect on the 19th. And they're also favoring, and this looks like an atmospheric river out here. And look at the northwest, guys. Good Lord. Northern California, Washington, Oregon, watch out. That's towards late month. And the euro also is, to me, is also agreeing that we are going to be dry for Christmas Day. But the one other thing I wanted to point out too about Urich's his forecast. He also mentions January 14 and February of 14 in his forecast because of the warm blob that we have in the Northeast Pacific. And Joe Bastardi also has referred to this blob in the Northeast Pacific as being the culprit on why we saw such sharp polar vortexes in January 14th. So if anybody remembers and lived in the area that got that, it was pretty brutally cold. So interesting forecast out there, and something to definitely watch as some of the ingredients are out there in favor some of these cold forecasts. I know Judah expects a lot of snow this winter as well. And so there's a couple people out there who are now leaning towards a much colder winter than they originally thought. And with that precipitation rate to be increased, we are in for a heck of a ride. So, all right, guys, tonight I had to fly solo. Mari was actually, tonight was her daughter's, that's me, was her rehearsal for her daughter's ballet. So I had to be the solo pilot tonight. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me on some of the blunders and stuff like that tonight. We had a couple of rough spots, but hey, we made it through it, right? All right, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. We appreciate everyone tuning in to the Grand Solar Minimum channel all week long. We will be back due to prior commitments. It is ballet time all weekend. Tonight, and then tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, and then Sunday and Sunday night. So we will be back Monday morning. Unless there is breaking news that we absolutely have to report on, we will be back for that. But at this point, anticipate being back on Monday morning. And then next week, we will restart the call-in shows. And to our Patreon fans, we owe you. We apologize and thank you for hanging in there. We will have our things cleared up by next weekend. So we will do the call-in show next weekend. And the topic is going to be, how do we talk to our family members and friends about Grand Solar Minimum and what's to come? All right, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. Thank you for tuning in once again. Please visit us on Patreon and our website, thegrandsolarminimum.com. Until Monday morning, guys, we will talk soon. Have a great weekend.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform, buy a t-shirt, or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.